Hi, welcome to class. Today's focus is we're going to be doing all over, but it is a feet in straps focus. So we'll really hone in on doing the feet in straps, which is about hip disassociation and pelvic stability. So let's start lying on our backs. We're going to have 2 strong springs and a half spring on, so 2.5 springs, and we've got the headrest down. We're going to start with spine curls. So start lying on your back. Feet are hip bone width apart, heels are on the bar, just down a little bit away from the shoulder rests. Arms are down by your side. Okay, we're just going to start with pelvic tilts north, and we're going to do about 4 of these. So inhale, prepare. Exhale. Now you're going to tilt your pubic bone up towards the ceiling, flatten your lower back. So that's a tuck north, and then return back to neutral. And again. So you're going to imprint your lower back. You're lifting your tailbone up just a little bit. So the back of your pelvis is in contact with the carriage, tucking the tail, and then release. Good, 2 more. So this is a north position. Okay, so where your pelvis is tilted and your lower back is flattened out. Good, and then return back to neutral, little hollow in the lower back. Good, 1 more. So imprint your lower back, tucking the pelvis north. So you can feel when your pubic bone is up higher than your hip bones, when your pelvis is tilted, how that affects your lower spine. It flattens out the lower back, and then return back to neutral. Now we're going to go into spine curls. Okay, so you're going to tuck north, lift the hips all the way up, and then roll back down. Okay, now you just lift up to a point that you feel comfortable. And again, tucking the tail under, up towards the ceiling. So tuck the tail up towards the ceiling, lift the hips up, and then rolling back down. 1 vertebrae at a time. So we're just getting into that pelvic tilting and how that affects the lower back. Warming up your spine before we get into the workout. Tuck your tail under, tuck your tail up towards the ceiling rather, lifting and then rolling back down. Good, try and keep your knees really parallel in line with your middle toes. 2 more. Starting to feel the back of the legs. Good. Last one. And then rolling back down. Good. Now we're going into toe taps. So hands over your belly, pelvis in a neutral position, little hollow in the lower back, tummy contracting though, not tensing your lower back. And your ribs are sliding down towards your hips. Your legs are up into a tabletop. And then we tap one calf down and then back up. Other calf down and then back up. Okay, so here I want you to feel that your pubic bone and your hip bones are very still as you move in the hip socket. So you can feel how your thigh bone hinges away, but you keep your hips very still. You might even want to put your hands on the hip bones at the front there, those bony protrusions. We want to move the thigh without moving the bony protrusions. Okay, really engaging the core. Think ribs sliding down towards your hips. Good. For 4, hip disassociation. 3, 2, last one. 1. Good work. Grab hold of your knees. In. Rolling left, massaging. Okay, so going into plie, so you've got the headrest slightly up at an angle that feels good for you. And we're going to start with your feet, toes on the bar, feet in a V position, so Pilates stance. The knees are slightly turned out, the legs are slightly turned out, but your knees are in line with your middle toes. Okay, and we just straighten out the legs and then glide back down. Place your fingertips over your pubic bone and the heels of your hands on the bony protrusions of your pelvis. And I want you to feel the folding at the hips. The heels remain together, but what we're feeling is the pelvis staying very still and the folding at the hip. So hip disassociation, moving our legs in our hip sockets, as opposed to moving our legs from our lower back. Good. For 5, can you feel how the hip bones, the pubic bone, stays very still? 3, and how by keeping the pubic bone and hip bones very still, how that keeps your lower back very still too. 2, last one, 1. Good work. Okay, so let's do heels out wide. Okay, so knees towards either 11 and 1 o'clock or 2 and 10, knees in line with the middle toes, and then hands over the pubic bone and hip bones, folding at the hips, feeling the bend at the front of the hips. 4, pushing through the heels. 5, using the legs. 6, disassociating at the hips. We're doing 10 of these. 7, pelvic stability. 8, fold at the hip. 9, you might even want to put your hips, the fingers on the front of the hips, there where the hip flexors are, folding there. 10. Lovely. Okay, and then toes on the bar. So put your finger pads into the hip flexors at the front there, so that big tendinous sort of area there at the front. Okay, and we want to feel that fold in the hip. The pubic bone, the hip bones are on the same flat plane. There's a fold in the hip socket. 10, straightening and bending your legs. Breathing out to straighten, breathing in to bend, folding at the hip. So you can feel how your torso is very still and you're creasing at the hip sockets. You're bending at the hip sockets. We're moving our legs without moving our spine. Hip disassociation. Good. For 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Okay, now heels parallel. So bring your heels back into parallel in line with your hip sockets. Your sit bones. Place your fingertips. So those bony protrusions. So feel for the bony protrusions and then just go down an inch. Okay, so that's the hip flexors, the hip socket there. Just folding, pressing gently into that area, feeling that fold at the hip, like a hinge joint. Okay, legs parallel, 10 of these. Hinging at the hip. 2, 3, the pubic bone, the hip bones. 4, stay very still as we fold. 5, 6, using the tummy. 7, not the lower back. Fold. 8, if you can imagine your hips at the side there. 9, like a hinge joint. 10. Good. Okay, and then balls of the feet, toes on the bar. Folding at the hip. Okay, neutral spine and pelvis. And then pressing out and down. Keep the heels lifted. Parallel legs. 4, we're doing 10 of these. Hinge joint. Hello. For the rest of that workout, go to my website, which is nellh.tv. There you will find my unique systematic approach to the Pilates method. There's packages there for the reformer, for the wonder chair, and also for the Cadillac. I hope you enjoy, and remember, movement is medicine.